Hello, storytellers. The Storytelling Run. I'll talk about the Last of Us the gay issue, in the show, because I want to talk about pop culture now, and I'm pretty strident, so and I rant. Hopefully, I'll be calm about this as a Christian, but so I shouldn't watch The Last of Us because I'm homophobic, I guess. I'm homophobic. That's the term they use, homophobic, Islamophobic. Basically Christians, right? That's their code word for Christians, homophobic. Not we disagree with you or we don't believe in that, but we are fearful and afraid. Well, God says don't fear, so we certainly have a foundation of do not fear. So it isn't fear that we have about homophobics, but I'm going to use the word homophobic. I'm homophobic. Is that okay? Do I have a right to be homophobic? Am I allowed to be homophobic? Will I be fired from my job? Will I be taken off of YouTube because I'm homophobic or Islamophobic? That's what I have a question. Are you Christophobic or whatever? Do we call you Christophobics? Do we call you hate Jesus phobics? Do you hate Jesus? Because obviously Jesus said and God said and the Bible says that if you are homosexual, you will not go to heaven. So what are we doing here? What's this whole thing about? So he tricks us into the show with the gay characters, and I watched it because I'm so into zombie films, right? I'm hungry for a new zombie film, one with new effects and new production values and the new LED screens where you get to see a panorama all the time now. So I'm just hungry for that, and I think this channel too is, and my role playing game is to get Christians to realize we need to make and can make violent, grim, real, on the ground shows with this stuff, and we can do just as much of this hardcore, intense, and yet have Christians in it with shotguns and blowing up and fighting criminals and for the Lord, or we got to help people. Our church needs to help people. There's no church in this. In a post-zombie apocalypse in America, there would be a church. There'd be a lot of churches, and that would be the center of what people trying to decide what to do and who to help and how to help and arguing with each other and figuring it all out. And there's nothing like that on yet, but that's across America. That's the norm. Yet we don't see that in these films. All we see is this stuff. And let me get to a point about this gay couple here that they've portrayed in that episode 3. They ended. I'm gonna spoiler alert. They ended with a mutual suicide, because that is the end of a gay couple. That's all you've got left. There's no future in a gay couple. Do they not realize what they just revealed? The biological, scientific, societal, self-suicidal destruction of a homophobic relationship or homosexual relationship. And that's not even me judging you. That's just like you showed that yourselves at Hollywood. That's the end game of a gay couple in a apocalyptic situation, in a dire situation, and in society of today. Or if you want to have children, you have to take it from the mother. You have to take a boy or a girl, a little boy, a baby. You have to take it from their mother in order to have children. So just that. So this episode is about a gay couple that survive the whatever, and they have to just die. Imagine if it was a husband and a wife at that 15 years later on, because they do like the whole life span of this couple. Imagine if it was a husband and wife at that end game. What would they have? They'd probably have a 13 or 14-year-old and a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old, and those people are old enough at that age to start taking care of them, and they probably, one of them may die and then the next one would continue on. Why? Because they have children there, and they're going to help the children, and the children are going to help them. And then they're not going to, which is what this gay couple did, is they fortressed themselves. They turtled into their fortress and kept everybody out. Right. So that's just the end game, death and squalor and hiding out. And then, but if it was a couple with children, those children would have wanted to get married, to get a husband or a wife, and bring them into the tribe, and then they would have built the future, and there would have been a future there, and it would have been a growth, not a death. It would have been life, not death. And this gay couple, this representation, and the show did it as well. By the way, you tricked us, director, into seeing how a gay couple ends. They have to kill each other. And they have to hide and reject all helping anyone else. And there's so many little things in this psychologically that they've done to try to trick us or nip at us or stick it in us with this show. And it was really annoying. Like when this guy first shows up, he falls in the pit of the conservative character actor that we all kind of, the right wing kind of loves and enjoys using as memes and GIFs. Obviously they picked him for that reason, and they made him a MAGA guy with guns, and of course he doesn't even use his guns in the entire thing. Which is pathetic, and that was whacked. And then when he gets shot, he's using, like, I don't even remember what he was using, but it was like a petty little gun, and he's standing out in the open and he gets shot, and it's like, and then he has all these traps and all this, like, he's set up of a fortress, and none of that really matters in the show. All that matters is their little wines, their little fancy dinners, and their little wines. And I'm like, after 15 years, how much wine did their little small town wine store actually have? I mean, I would have drank all of it in probably a month, but they kept having wonderful wines, pairing them with wonderful foods. Do you know how much hard work it is to get all that food, and where'd they get all the meat from? I don't know. It was really just, and then, like, oh yeah, when he first shows up, he has this wonderful sweater. He's not dirty. He doesn't even have a survival pack or nothing. He's, so it was pretty incredible. The level of sort of brainwashing and deception for this show. So I'm sorry, I'm being really, but this show put it on thick. Doing that, and now we have, and I haven't seen this episode, so I'm kind of pondering. I don't want to be preached at with homosexuality, and I'm homophobic. So they got these kids saying, this 19-year-old saying that I'm homophobic, and that just don't watch it, which I guess is really good advice. Don't watch it. That, and they're just getting the kids. And I remember when I was that age too, 19, I remember I was told homosexuality is good, sexuality is good, perversity is good. I was told that. I believed it. Of course I believed it. I'm a young kid and horny and wanted that. And that's what I want. And they gave me that. And that's what pagans do. They give you the sexual freedom that you think you want and need in life. And now that I'm older, I'm realizing, wow, that was not good at all. Right? Older and wiser in some ways. But, so we're just being, we're being given these forms of entertainment, and we're being told now to you're either homophobic or accept this. And we want, we don't want it. I mean, I don't want shows where I have to watch people doing sinful things. I want shows where I want them, they're surviving, they're striving, they're struggling, and they're struggling for life, not death. They're struggling to survive and flourish, right? They're not struggling to hold up, hide away, and then eventually commit suicide together. So I guess that's kind of like the point of it. That's kind of the point of, entertainment is supposed to, the arts are, arts are obviously anything, but the art of a Christian or of an American is that we want art that influences us, that gives us hope for the future, for life, that makes us sacrifice ourselves, our own lusts. We sacrifice our lusts for the life of our children and for the life of their future. And that's the sort of shows we want to be portrayed. So that doesn't work with homophobes with homosexuals, because Last of Us just proved to us that it doesn't work, and they did it trying to preach to us, but they preached to us exactly what the end game is: death. So this is my call to Christians out there. You gotta step up, especially the youth. You guys gotta step up and start pushing for shows and that about life, fighting for life, not fighting for death, not fighting for mutual suicide and the suicide of your society, but fighting for. I just want to close these windows because I'm a homophobe, so I don't want to keep seeing that stuff. We gotta, I wrote a Night of the Dead, which is the K Night of the Dead, and actually, I'm going to encourage you all to. I just thought of this just now, I swear. But I wrote a book series, and I haven't finished it yet, but because I'm not getting that many sales. But it's called Night of the Dead. It's on Amazon, and it's a hardcore, violent, grim, here in LA, zombie apocalypse, and it's about a father and his family, and the father is semi autobiographical, by the way, and but he has armor, his medieval armor, and he fights the zombies and his family to protect his family, and they begin starting a society. They start gathering survivors, and I bring up there's a gay guys in there, or I do try to make it, and the arguing, and yeah, there's an issue with that, and I write it out, and I make it so that they just, as much as they want to try to get along, they can, because the Christian guy is homophobic, I guess, and the gay person doesn't want to be with him, so they sort of splinter off and all that kind of thing. But that's over the series of 4 books. But it's grim. I want it to be like hardcore. It's R-rated. I think 12 and up could read it, but I don't, probably 14 or 15 and up could read it. I don't do overtly sexual stuff, but there is a husband and wife sexual theme in it, or some mild descriptions, because of all the tension and horrors of the zombie apocalypse. But again, I'm just saying, I'm getting across the point that we need to step up and become filmmakers that do these rough and tumble stuff, as well as the good stuff too, but the nice stuff, family friendly stuff. But we need to also bring in the hardcore stuff too, and not be afraid of that. Because I don't know, or maybe that's just what I'm into. I want the grim hard stuff. But yes, I'm doing the family friendly for the Lord RPG. But anyway, that's just my ramble. But it's just because of The Last of Us, and because there's this push, and because we're being termed homophobic, and thusly we need to step down, and we need to be pushed aside, and don't watch it, and don't do this, and that's fine. You know what? I don't mind if they want to do a show with gay characters. Okay, fine. But it's becoming way over prevalent. It's becoming just too much, and also I kind of want to know at the beginning. I want to know at the beginning if you're gonna, if you want to push that agenda, and they said they would. They purposely did it to deceive us. So I don't want to be deceived. I want you to like for instance, that movie that came out with a gay bromance, right? Bros or whatever. I didn't like it, blah blah blah, but I'm not going to complain about it, because they from the beginning they said that's what that is. It's a gay movie. It's about a gay couple. Okay, fine. Then more power to you. And obviously it bombed, but that's that. I don't have a complaint about that one. I can't complain. They said from the beginning. And Last of Us, and I even know I didn't play the game, but I know that in Last of Us, everyone hated the second one because they changed it all to gay. Like in the first one, it was mild, or background, and that's the whole point of this too, is that they did that bait and switch type of thing, and that's really the frustrating thing about it, the bait and switch, and that's what they're doing, and they're openly saying that that's what they're doing. So that's why I'm complaining about it. But anyway, that's my little rant. I don't even know if I'm going to upload this. It's just like I just want to get it off my chest. We'll see.